welcome back to Case Mobile Notary's channel, where we help you level up your learning so you can level up your life. All right, let's get into it. What we gonna talk about today? So I want to talk about, becoming a notary public is full of surprises. It's a journey. That's why I'm going to talk about 10 things that I wish I knew before I became a notary public. And this is some things that, you can help decide if this is something that you want to do as well. Okay. So my 10 are going to be a little unorthodox than others because I just think differently than others. So, you know, I don't know if you'll get these same 10 anywhere else, but stick with me, you're going to learn a lot. All right, so number one, the first thing that I wish I knew before coming a notary is that I was going to need to be an attorney. Oh my God, I need to know these laws. You need to know the laws. You need to know how to understand the laws, interpret the laws. You even need to, when these attorneys call you sometimes and they call you like like they know everything and sometimes they don't, you got to explain to them what the notary law is. So you got to know how to explain it, how to articulate it. You got to know these laws. You got to darn right be an attorney. Luckily for me, it's kind of what my job was that I wanted to be when I was little. I like to debate a little bit. So that wasn't so bad, but you're going to need to know these laws. So that's one thing I wish I knew. Okay, number two. I wish I knew I was going to have to be a therapist. Sometimes you go to people's home or, you're at the closing table and they're telling you everything, okay? Everything that is happening, been happening, all that. And you got to listen intently. You got to smile, you got to, offer the little advice that you can, without giving any legal advice. Don't get that, misconstrued. No legal advice. But, you sometimes got to be a therapist, okay? So, don't forget that. Luckily, in college, I did kind of study, working with people, psychology and everything. So, I got a little help from that. So, that works for me. Also, number three, I wish I knew that I needed to know about customer relationship management. I wish I knew that I needed to know that I need to keep a list of, my contacts, my customers, how to engage with them, when to engage, all that kind of thing. I wish I knew that, up front. Number four, the next thing I wish I knew is that I needed to be a pet lover. I mean, everybody got a dog, everybody got a cat, they got dogs and cats. I didn't know dogs and cats were that friendly with each other, but a lot of homes I go into, they have both. And I'm like, did the dog not chasing the cat? How is this working? But it works. Cat just be walking around, not paying attention to the dog. Dog don't care. I wish I knew I had to be a pet lover. I had a dog when I was little, so I know about it, but I'm not a pet lover, but you're going to need to be, okay? You're going to need to be. People love their pets. They want to talk about their pets. Just, be engaged, okay? The pets, they going to come, they going to sniff you. They going to want to be by you. The cat going to want to jump on you. They going to jump on the table. They going to want to sign, just, it's a lot going on with the pets, okay? So just beware. Number five, I wish I knew before I became a notary that I was going to have to encounter hoarders. Oh my God. I got to keep a straight face when you're in a house that someone has a whole bunch of stuff in. Literally, you can't sit down. What are you going to do? You got to know how to navigate these situations. You got to be polite. You still got to, get this done as well, standing up. I don't know. You got to have that clipboard. Wish I knew, I was going to have to encounter these things. I didn't think about that. Okay. But it happens. Okay. Number six, I wish I knew I was going to have to be, empathetic. Didn't realize I was going to have to, show empathy, which I don't mind doing, but I didn't know this was going to be a thing. And of course, you want to show empathy when things are happening, or because sometimes you're going to get your customers at their highest. They're purchasing homes. There's going to be lovely. Could be at their lowest. They're getting a divorce, or someone's passing away. You know, you never know what it could be. So that also moves me into number 7. You also got to have some sympathy as well. So sympathy goes a long way with anything that you're doing. And many clients are navigating tough situations. So of course you want to be sympathetic and empathetic to those situations. Okay. Number 8, I wish I knew that I was going to have to encounter road rage quite a bit. Because I'm on the road a lot. These people are driving like maniacs out here. I don't know what's going on. I had someone not too long ago. So I was in an area that I'm normally not in, and I'm going along, and I noticed the lane I was in was going to put me on the freeway, and I didn't want to go on the freeway. So I put my blinker on to get over on the left, and I kind of got to hurry up and get over because otherwise I'm going to be on the freeway. I had enough room, so I didn't think I cut this person off, but apparently he felt I cut him off. Okay, so he gets upset and he drives up, gets in front of me really fast, and then he gets right back over to do a left turn. So you just basically wanted to tell me, hey, don't cut me off, I guess. I don't know, but that was uncalled for. And there's a lot of situations that happen where you got to deal with road rage. So, be mindful of that. Like, I try not to engage, because, hey, I'm just moseying on along, making sure that I'm taking care of the clients that I need to take care of. So, but that happens a lot. So, number 9, I wish I knew that I was going to have to, find lunch specials and things that I can eat. I don't want to spend a whole lot of money when I'm out, but when you're out and you have multiple signings, you don't want to get the most expensive thing to eat. So I take down in my notes when I go somewhere or I hear of different specials or things that are going on. When the lunch specials are like between 11 and 3, you're going to get Chinese, for example. You're going to get between, 12 and 4. You're going to get Olga's. I don't know, just different specials and what they have on them for lunch. You want to kind of, keep that in order. Otherwise, you'll be spending a whole bunch of money on food, and all the money that you've made from the signing is going to go on food. So I suggest, you get your lunch specials in order, figure those out. But I wish I knew I was going to have to keep a log of this. So that's what I do to help keep expenses down. So, and you should too, if you don't already. And lastly, number 10, what I wish I knew before coming on Mobile Notary is that I was going to have to learn how to adapt to situations on the fly very quickly. Last minute signings always happens a lot, more often than you think. And a lot of times those last minute signings, there's something going on with them, by the way. There's a issue of some sort. The most recent last minute signing I had, the address was wrong. They had the person's name incorrect and they were already online doing it or something, and the person was rude, and it was just so much going on with this signing. But I got through it. And I'm going to do a bonus one. Another thing that I feel like a lot of people, even myself, wish they knew before coming to Mobile Notary, because I've been a notary since 2006, and back then they they mailed you through FedEx or UPS the documents. Well, now you have to print all the documents. So, you're printing 200 pages or more. You got to print an extra copy for them. That's a whole, pack of paper right there when you do that many documents. So that's my bonus, just printing all those documents also. You want to be aware of that. But you guys, that's my list of 10 things I wish I knew before becoming a mobile notary. So listen, in the description below. If it's something, that you wish you knew about becoming a mobile notary before you became one, put it in the description. I'd love to, see what else you guys are thinking out there. I know my list might have been a little bit unorthodox, but that's how I roll. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.